Hello. Today I want to talk about using Google Forms for assessment purposes. So to get us started, we're going to go to the Google Forms page, which just like any other Google app, you can either find in the app launchers here in my bookmarks bar or on the right-hand side of any Google page, or I can type in the address, which is just the name of the app in front of google.com. So I'm going to go ahead and type in forms.google.com. And it's going to take me to the generic Google Forms page. I can also get to a Google form from my Drive, just coming over to New, and you'll see my most popular Docs, Sheets, Slides there. But if I go to More, Google Forms is usually your fourth choice. If I just click Google Forms, it's just going to give me a blank Google form. We don't want that today. We're actually going to work on assessments using templates that Google has already created for us. That way we want to work smarter, not harder. I can get to those templates from my Drive. I just have to come over here to the arrow, and instead of clicking blank form, I have to say from a template. So now that I'm on the Google Forms page, you can see at the top, there's my option to make a blank form if I wanted to. But I want to use one of Google Forms templates already made. And you can see there's an assessment template, there's an exit ticket template, there's a worksheet template. If I were to drop down, if I were to open the whole gallery, I believe there's a survey template as well. There's a few more options. But as teachers, these are probably going to be the most popular: assessment, exit ticket, and worksheet. So I'm going to open the assessment template. And I like this one because it has most of the question types already written that we could use within a Google form. And we'll look at locked mode later. So looking at my assessment template, we can see it already has a heading. If I wanted to put my own heading in, I can come over here. All of my question types, anything I can enter on a Google form is here in my right-hand menu. So you'll see my first choice is to just add a question. My second choice is to import questions. I can enter just a title and a description, which this is what this is. So here's my title, here's my description. I can add just a picture to my form. I can add a video, and I can create sections, which we'll talk about later. So in the template, once my question or once my text box is in my form, to edit it, I just click on it and I can start typing. So I'm going to call this plant quiz. And then I can come down here and I can give a little bit description. Now, in Google Forms, you usually want to start with having people add their names. I can have Google Forms collect email addresses, but as we know, student addresses are just their ID numbers, and most of us don't have our students' IDs memorized. So by adding this name question, it just adds a little bit of ease, so I don't have to go looking up student numbers. So they're going to put in their name, and again, to edit any question, I just click on it, and you'll see my options if I wanted to change it. If I wanted to make it a multiple choice question, short answer has a limited text amount. Paragraph, it has, of course, more text options. I can do check boxes, which allow me to give multiple answers. I can create a drop-down menu where students are choosing one answer from a list of choices. I can upload a file within a question, so I could link my question to, say, like a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. I can create a linear scale. For example, I could say on a scale from 1 to 5, rate. So this would be more appropriate for like a survey. Multiple choice grid is where they're choosing answers, but it's instead of having them in one column, it's going to have your multiple columns that they can choose from. Same thing with the checkbox grid. And then date, pretty self-explanatory. You're just putting in a date for the students to enter. So once the students answer their questions, you can see at the bottom, because this has been set up as a quiz, you have the option to put in an answer key and give it points. Now, a question like this, where there is no right answer, you're just going to leave that blank. And you're going to want to make sure that mark all other answers incorrect is not checked. And then we don't want to give it any points. If you want to give them any feedback, here's my little option for feedback. Right now, there's nothing in there, but I could write a quick note saying, make sure you spelled your name correctly or anything like that. I can also put in a link to a website or to a video, which if they're just putting in their name, I don't need that right now. If I were creating my own Google Doc or my own Google form from a template, I can get to the quiz settings up here at the top in my handy dandy gear. So if I open up my settings, in general, it's going to be up to you if you want to collect email addresses. This is a nice safeguard. If students forget to type in their name, then you still have their email address and you can look up their student number. However, if you're using this Google form with kids that are not signing in, for example, kids that are using the iPads and not going through Classroom, you probably don't want to collect their email addresses because you don't want them signing in. So you would want that unchecked. It's also going to ask you if you want to restrict users in Rockford Public School. Again, if they're not signing in, it doesn't really matter if that's checked or not. Limit to one response. Again, if they're not signing in, Google has no way to track, so this really isn't going to apply. So if you have kids that are not signing in, so say they're getting to this from your Google site, you'll want to uncheck that. And then just make sure you let students know that they shouldn't be going back and changing answers. You can block once they've submitted it. Make sure this is unchecked so they can't edit it after their submission. See summary charts and text responses. This just after they've taken the Google form, they can see how an overall page telling them how they've done, how they've answered. My next option is presentation. If I show them a progress bar at the bottom, it'll show them how far they are in the quiz. So again, if they've answered 1 of 5 questions, 2 of 5 questions, etc. Shuffle question order. This is nice if your quiz is not dependent on other links and you want to try to avoid students looking at other students' answers. You can kind of shuffle the questions around so the students aren't getting the questions in the same order. And show link to submit another response. If you were, say, taking a survey and you wanted them to take it over and over again, then you would check this. And Google usually has this default message when they finish the quiz saying your response has been recorded. If you want to change that, you can just go in, put your own message. And then the last message is the quizzes, and this is where you would come if you were making your own Google form to turn on those quiz options of an answer key and a point system. So I make sure this button is turned on that says make this a quiz. If I turn that off, that answer key and that point system does go away. Google Forms has added a new feature called locked mode on Chromebooks. If you turn on locked mode, what happens is once the student opens the Google form, they're not allowed to leave the form until they're done. They can't go to other websites. They can't go to other apps. And again, this only works on Chromebooks though. And then you also have some options for showing the kids their grades. If you want to show the kids' grades right away after they've answered each question, or later means you have the right, they wouldn't see it during the quiz, but you would still have the right to release those grades to students. And then I can also let them know if they've missed a question right away, it would let them know you got this wrong, you got this right. I can let them see if they get it wrong. I can let them see the correct answer. And I have the option to show them the points. So if I don't want them to get obsessed with how much each one is worth, I can just turn that off and then I see it, but they can't. So all of that is within the settings menu. Now in the template, our quiz settings have already been turned on, and we're given a choice of one type of question each. So we've seen the short answer type question. If we need more short answer questions, we just come over here to our right-hand menu, and our first choice is add question. And there's my question box. And I can choose every time I add question, it's not going to ask me what kind until I've added the question. Then I come over to the drop down, choose what I want. And then I go in and edit my answer key. So say this one, I want to know, I ask the question, what collects the water on a plant? And then my correct answer is roots. If I want to add alternative spellings, I can do up to 4, I believe. And then mark all other answers incorrect. So this isn't an optional question. This is a right or wrong. So if they're not putting roots or root, they get it wrong. And then this is where I can edit the point value. So I want to make this question 1 point. I just keep going. As many points as I want. I can make it that many points. And then when I'm done, I'm back to the question. I can type my actual question is. And then I want to come down here, and if the students have to answer it, I want to turn on the required. If I need to move questions around within my quiz, when I'm clicked on the question, you'll see these 6 dots at the top. That's my move button. So I just hover over that until I get my crosshairs, and then I can drag the question wherever I like. And then at the bottom, I also have my duplicate button. So if I hit that, it just copies the question exactly the way I've set it up in the previous question. And then I could come in and make any edits that I need to. And then the garbage can, of course, deletes the question. The next type of question we have besides short answer would be multiple choice. So again, the template has already set up the multiple choice question for me. I just click it, make my edits, add my question, add my answers, and it's already chosen a correct answer for me. It's decided that the second option is going to be my correct answer. If you want to change that, say you're typing them in, you're like, oh, I typed my correct answer in option number 4. Just simply unclick it. And then click a new answer. And then I can keep adding, if I want to add questions, I just keep hitting enter. And then I can also add an other. And then I come in here to my answer key and I tell it, oh, I wanted option 4 instead of option 1. And then I can give them some feedback if they get it wrong. I can also give feedback for correct answers. If I want to put a way to go, I can do that for the correct answer as well. My next type of question is going to be my checkboxes. Checkboxes allow for multiple correct answers. So you can see they've already set this one up to have 3 correct answers out of 5. And again, if I want to change that around, I come down here to my answer key. Well, you're not my correct answers. Now I want 1 and 2 to be my correct answers. I can edit my feedback. There's my third question with my short answer text. But again, say I want to change that to a long answer. I can come up here, I can edit short answer to paragraph, and now they can keep on typing. I believe the limit is up to like 999 characters, if I remember correctly. And then here would be an example of, I've just put in a text box. So for example, I have a paragraph I want them to read. And then what they've done is they've put in a long answer question at the bottom. So the student just reads this paragraph, and then they come down here and they actually put in their answer. So setting up quizzes is fairly simple. The nice feature is now that we have the quiz option, you can generate a grade from that. So you come over here to your responses, and it's going to give you automatic feedback, who got it right, who got it wrong. You can also export to a Google Sheet, so you can have that already in a spreadsheet. Unfortunately, this doesn't communicate with Teacher Access Center, so you would have to take your grades from here, type them into Teacher Access Center. However, Google is working with other applications, such as Schoology, which the district is starting to pilot, and I know some secondary teachers are starting to use, that allows you to upload grades into those communications. So it may be something coming in the future, but as of now, you can't upload directly to Teacher Access Center. The last thing I'd like to discuss with Google Forms is making it a formative assessment where, as you're quizzing students, you can embed lessons into that based on how they're answering the questions. And you're going to do that with your sections, which is the last choice on your right-hand menu here. So right now, this is all considered one section. I answer one question, I automatically go to the next. However, if I come down here and I add section, now I have a section 2 down here. And I've actually put it in, it actually bumped my last question. To move sections, you just come over here to your double arrows. Sorry, your hot dog, your double arrows just opens and closes the window. Go to your hot dog, your 3 dots in a vertical line, and you say move section. And you're going to tell it, I want to be all the way at the bottom, save. And then, oops, that question that I wanted in section 1, there's my 6 dots. I can just drag it up into section 1. Now, section 2 is where I could put some of my materials for students to review if they get questions wrong. So section 2, I'm going to put in a quick video. And so this is my remedial work. And now I can put my video in. And if I already know the web address, I can just plunk the URL right here. I don't have the URL, so I'm going to search for plant videos. That's going to find videos in YouTube that might be helpful to me. This one looks pretty good. I'm going to put that in. So there's my video. I'm going to give it a title. It's ready to go. Again, if I need to come in here and edit, I can center it. I can flip out for a different video if I find a better video. Now that I have these 2 sections, so again, section 2 is just my video here. I can go back up to my questions. And now I'm going to click on my first question. I want them to answer this 4th choice here. However, if they don't get that one correct, now I can come down here to my menu for just this question. And you'll see it has a choice for me saying go to section based on answer. So I'm going to click that. Now, next to every question pops up a choice. What do I want to happen after they answer it? So these 2 answers are correct. If they get it correct, keep going, go to the next section. However, if they get it wrong, I'm going to tell them, go to section 2, plant video. Now, anytime they choose that answer, the Google form is automatically going to hop them down to this video. They can watch the video, and then I would just have to set the video up to go back to the section 1. So I'm going to say, and then I can keep doing that over and over for every question. And now, since this is the last section, I think my Screencastify, at the bottom here, it'll ask, what do you want to do at the end of the quiz? And then I could just tell them, go back to section 1, go back to section 2. Now, if you have lots of questions, you might have to create multiple sections, and it may get tricky to keep track of. So to get started, while you're just learning, while you're just practicing, maybe you just put in 2 sections. And maybe they just have to, if they get it wrong, they have to keep going back to the same video. They go back to the same video, watch it over and over again until they start getting the questions right. But sections is a nice thing to play with because it makes it more interactive and it gives students more immediate feedback. Oh, I'm getting this wrong. I better go back and review this right now. They really can't get out of it because they have to watch it to move on with the quiz. Once you've built your quiz and you've edited it to your satisfaction, don't forget to come up here, give it a new name. We probably don't want to call it assessment. We want to call it something more specific. So I've named it Plant Quiz down here. I'm going to name the file Plant Quiz. And then once I'm ready to share it with students, I can come preview it with my little eye. I can see how it's going to look for the students. Make sure I put the questions in the correct order. Make sure it looks the way I want. And then I'm ready to share it. So I could either send people a direct link by email, or I come over here, go to my paperclip, there's my link. And I usually like to shorten them. Now I can just copy that. I can put that where the students are going to access it. So I can either paste it into my Google Classroom, or I can paste it on my Google Sites and just say, hey, click this link, take this quiz. And of course, there are other templates we saw within the Google Forms page. I can do exit tickets. I can do a worksheet, but they all pretty much act the same way. I still have, they're all going to have those same options. They're all going to be able to be turned into a quiz going up to that settings gear. They've just been formatted by Google to be more appropriate to what they've been titled. So a worksheet might not necessarily have the same types of questions pre-formatted, but I can always go in and add whatever I want to it to make it the way I want to use it. So that is a quick overview of using Google Forms for assessment. If you have further questions, please let me know. As always, you can reach me at jill.briscoe@rps205.com. Thank you.